Okay, we finally come upon Psalm 127. And I am going to state, even though poor Dr. Reese, I'm sure if I told this to Dr. Reese, he'd probably say, hey, you know what? There's always room for you to make your own chronological Bible, and put it wherever you like. There's actually no incorrect spot. It's just good that it's actually here and that it's not been skipped over, because I was getting kind of concerned. But I will say, I believe this psalm, even though it's not specified in the header of the psalm, which I wish they'd put in the chronological Bible also. That's definitely something I'm going to ask Dr. Reese that they might do when they're redoing the chronological Bible. But see here, like this little testament that I have. And by the way, I'm going to make this available right now. I have a pile of testaments that I use for the Family Bible Time presently. And if anybody would like one, not just to have sitting around or just because you're getting something free. But if you know someone who could actually use it, or you could use it, maybe you go out fishing or something. I give one to an old buddy of mine, and I thought, this is just a simple little thing. He probably won't care, but I was having breakfast with him, and I said, hey, would you like it? He goes, oh boy, yeah. He goes, I go out fishing, and man, I'd love to read that. He goes, I had one for years, and it wore out on me. And so anyways, that was great. But look, over here on my wife's sewing table. There's my coffee cup. There's a couple other testaments. The reason why I do that is because sometimes I hit these passages and there's like a whole bunch of psalms. And I try to look them up beforehand and then read the header before I read the psalm, because they don't put the headers here in the Reese Chronological Bible. But okay, back to the point. Oh, and by the way, if you want one of these, message me, okay? But I think David wrote that psalm, and I think he wrote it as a charge for Solomon. Well, at this point in the chronological Bible, David's dead, so they're kind of indicating that David didn't write it. I believe that he did, but I don't know. But it's talking about, lo, children are an heritage of the Lord. He's like basically telling Solomon, unless the Lord's going to build this thing, you're wasting your time. And isn't it interesting, and hopefully, I'm sure we will here in the reading of Solomon at some point. We're going to be hitting the Song of Solomon coming interweaving throughout, and also Ecclesiastes we're going to be hitting. But, Ecclesiastes talks a lot about vanity. And I always think it's interesting when I was like reading the prayer for Solomon, a couple of chapters back, that there's a lot of stuff mentioned in that prayer that sound an awful lot like the Proverbs. There's a lot of stuff that David said and did, and in regard to Solomon, that sounded like Proverbs. Yeah, we're going to be hitting Proverbs too throughout. We already hit one a bit. But yeah, here's the vanity mentioning. But then all of a sudden it goes into children. Well, that's appropriate. Remember, David said when he made Solomon king, he said, well, this is my son, and I've had many sons. It's pretty much like, wouldn't you know, it would have to be Solomon, of all the sons I've had. But he starts talking about the honor that your kids can bring. Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but they shall speak with the enemies in the gate. Now Solomon was made king and made peace with, some of the folks who were David's enemies, but and made too much peace. Made peace with their daughters. Yeah. So okay. So anyways, that's that thought. Bless the Lord. We finally hit Psalm 127. Getting on with 1 Kings 7 next.